This is Shur on Tefilla. It's very interesting that, we have summer, we have winter, and winter is very cold and freezing. Summer is very hot, and it boggles one's mind that why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do that? Let's give the heat of the summer to the winter and the freezing cold weather of winter to summer and create a balance that the weather should be good, should be okay. Why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu do that? And it's a waste of energy, waste of time, and it's not efficient what Hashem is doing. Hashem is the president of the world. The president makes the best out of the world. Now here, why do we have such a great obstacle on our ways of life? And it's waste. Well, it's very easily Hashem to take the heat of the summer give to the winter and the coldness of the winter to the summer, and everything would be balanced. Now, the Hashem say, see, the point of the creation is to show Hatava to Adam. Hashem wants to be native to Adam, to do good to Adam. Now, how is the way to do good to Adam? When Adam understands his own greatness, see how great he is, how much potential he has, and he tries to bring out this potential. He tries to make himself bigger and bigger. The bigger the person gets and uses his power of free choice and becomes greater and greater Hatava and blessing of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will get. Therefore, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu puts obstacles in life, such a freezing cold weather, with such a heat, hot, there's obstacles in life. Now, what would the person do? The person uses his brain, the person uses his kochot and power and overcomes the obstacles. When he overcomes the obstacles, that shows the greatness of Adam, how great Adam is. And Adam could overcome the obstacles and make himself and provide for himself. And that helps the person to grow. And that's the purpose of the Bria. The purpose of creation is not just to show the Malchut and the greatest majesty of Hashem. The greatness of the Bria is to show Adam how great he is. Even though that the Mishnah says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything lichvodi, the atzmi lichvodi, for my honor and kavod. Now why? Really, the word is for Adam, for the Hativ Labiyot, like the Ramchal, Svaratodosh says. So that's the Mishnah in Avod means that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything lichvodi, la'ativ, for majesty. In other words, realizing the majesty and greatness of Hashem, that is greatness of us. The purpose of the goal is greatness of Adam. How would a person realize the greatness of himself when he sees the greatness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu? He sees how native Hashem is, blessings of everything in life. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created everything like that to show His majesty, because the recognition of His majesty is the greatest blessing for Adam. So all of these obstacles is there to bring out the potential of Adam. Now, there's a pasuk in Hallelujah that we say every day. It says, Hanotem Shele Katzam. Hashem gives snow like a wool. Now, what does it mean? How are we comparing the snow to the wool? Now, Pashtut, in a simple meaning, we are comparing snow is as white as wool. Hashem gives the snow as white as wool. The comparison is the color. But everybody knows if that's the case, there's a problem with the pasuk. What's the problem with the pasuk? Because which one is wider? The snow is wider or wool is wider? Snow is wider. If the snow is wider than wool, then the pasuk is not right. Because usually we compare, Hashem gives something as white as the other thing. The other thing has to be wider than this. Then comparison makes sense. But if the other thing is not as wide, then the pasuk doesn't make sense. You don't say that Hashem sends sheleg as wide as the wool, and sheleg is wider than wool. How could that be? Zohar Chadosh asks this question, and he says, "There, what's pshat in the pasuk? Can't be the comparison in the color." The Zohar Chadosh suggests that pshat is like this. Let's say there was a storm in New York for 36 hours. Snow. There are a lot of flakes of snow came down. Now, if I ask, how many flakes of snow came down? How many? What a number? Obviously, HaKadosh has a number. Everything by Hashem is not random, it's a number. How many? How much? Now, the pastor is telling us, when Hashem sent the snow, he sent as much as wool is in the city. Because when it snows, the weather gets cold. People need wool to make jacket and to wear, to warm up themselves, to overcome the obstacle. Now, to overcome the obstacle of the cold weather, we need wool. Now, how much of snow HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends, as much as the wool is in the city. Hashem makes sure not to send more snow. Exactly the point. Snow is obstacle, comes. But the remedy is there. Hashem sends that. Therefore, why does HaKadosh Baruch Hu send this snow? That Adam should overcome himself and use the remedy that Hashem created in the Bria and show his greatness that we could overcome this obstacle. And that's not only for Shelek or snow, any obstacles in life, anything that happens to a person. Hashem, before sending the Makkah, the plague, sends the refuah, sends the remedy. You could overcome, you could overcome, you could overcome. And that's a very important lesson in one's life. No matter how great the historian is, no matter how great the problem is, Hashem sends the remedy first. Once some philosopher says, instead of going to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and saying, Hashem, making Hashem small, and telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem, I have such a great problem that I don't know how to deal with it. Instead of such a perspective, go to create God, to create Hashem, and address Him. And they say, I know how great you are, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that this problem is so minute for you. You could handle it. You could help me out to overcome. And that's the way that the life is. That's the way that the growth of life is. And we take from here a very important lesson in Chinuch. If we pamper our children, everything is ready for them. Everything is there. That's the greatest crime that we are doing to our children. Because life doesn't stay like that. Children have to learn how to come obstacles. They have to learn they can't have everything. They have to learn there is a problem, find a solution for it. You pamper them and then they get married, they go out, they want to handle problems, they're paralyzed, they can't do that. Therefore, what type of help it is? Therefore, it's very important that, that we learn from Hashem. Hashem is the greatest educator. Hashem creates obstacles on the way. It's Rahman and merciless of Hashem. He just wants to show the grace of Adam. We as a parents also, we should pamper their children, should teach them how to overcome, and that will help them in the long term of life.